My dear fellow listeners and viewers, today I would like to share with you five biggest mistakes that are made by job seekers. That's right. I would like to share with you five biggest mistakes that are made by job seekers. And so if you are on a job hunting, you may want to listen to this video here. So the first mistake is people do not take the time to revise their resume to avoid mistakes. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically disqualified for a job if there are a few mistakes here and there, but it's probably wise to take your time to go through the resume and cover letter again, or the application. If that's an online application, you want to read it aloud, even get somebody to take a look at it. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it probably worth it, especially if it's a job that you really want and you've always, looking forward to work in a certain area. It's worth every minute to go through the resume, in details, the cover letter in details, get somebody to take a look at it, and so on. Error. I can tell you though, based on my experience, I've had that mistake in the past where I was using a template, and so basically on a cover letter, what I did, I had a different company's address on the cover letter, and I still got the job. So sometimes you can get a little bit lucky, but I mean, man, when I found out afterwards, when I revised that resume, that cover letter again, and realized that I made a mistake. I kind of felt a little bit foolish there. But I've been at the company, at that particular company, for quite a few years. I'm no longer there now because I move on to different things. But what I'm trying to say to you, if for some reason you make a mistake, it is not end of the world, but definitely it is worth the effort and worth the time, for you to go through and make sure that you have minimal amount of error in there, and zero if possible. The second mistake job hunters make is that they fail to ask questions at the end of an interview. It is not uncommon for the employer to ask you, the job hunter, when you go for an interview, if you have anything you would like to say. Once they ask you that question, you want to make sure you take that opportunity to ask a few questions, not a whole lot of questions. It is okay to maybe ask for clarification. It is probably wise to even ask them things like, how many people they're interviewing for the role, when can you expect, to hear back either way, and things of that sort. But you want to say something, right? Because they're giving you that opportunity. If they don't give you that opportunity, well, that's totally fine, but it is not uncommon for an employer to actually give you that opportunity at the end. So that's not a mistake to make. So something to keep in mind. And the next mistake job hunters make is that they are not aware of their own strengths and weaknesses. It is not uncommon as well too for an employer to ask you to list a few of your strengths, because you are going to have that, right? But you have to figure that out. And they also will ask you, believe it or not, it is not uncommon for them to ask you to list a few of your weaknesses. And believe it or not, it is not a bad thing to share your weaknesses with an employer, right? But you have to be aware of it. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. And sometimes the employer just ask you this question just to see how much you are aware of your own self. So, for example, if I share with them my weakness, a few of my weaknesses, that means that I'm aware and I can do whatever I need to make sure that those weaknesses, doesn't affect me on the job. And so that's one of the reasons why they're asking you. Because if you happen not to share any weaknesses with them, that might not look too good, because one, they might think that you're lying, and second, they might think that the fact that you don't have the awareness of your own self, that might not be a good thing. So keep that in mind. So that's a big mistake job hunters do. Another mistake they make is that they are not doing their research. So what that means is you don't have to research hours and hours and hours, but if you are going to company A, you want to make sure that you at least go on their website and just scan through to see, what is it that they're all about? What is it that matches with your own values? What is it that you can go in there and say, you know what? I went on your website, and when I look at your mission and vision and all of that, it really, excites me, all of that. So you want to go in there with a little bit of a confidence. A lot of people don't do that. You want to kind of understand what they do, because keep in mind, when an employer is hiring somebody, they are looking at the big picture. It costs a lot of money, by the way, for an employer to hire somebody. Lots of hidden dollars that you and I are not aware of. And so they want to make sure that when they're hiring somebody, that they are going to get, the most out of them. That's one of the reasons they want to make sure that they hire the right person. And sometimes we might say, you know what, I thought I was the best person for the job, but they never offered me the job, and so on. So all of these little things that I'm sharing with you are really good pointers. So I hope that you kind of keep all of these pieces in mind when you are going to go for your next interview. And another mistake job seekers make, and this should be one that everybody do, by the way, is that people are not taking the time to clean up their social media pages. So, for example, if you are, always putting all kind of, things on your social media feed, that is fine, but you have to know what you're putting on there, right? So, for example, if you're putting things that not appropriate, so something that's inappropriate would be like, um, showing off illegal stuff, for example, or using drugs and things of that kind openly there, right? That might affect you. It might employer look at all of these things, right? If you are posing, with a shirt, and things of that kind, people look at it differently depending on the role. So you want to make sure you're cleaning up your social media pieces before you go for an interview. What I usually recommend though is that, because I mean, I always believe in preventative measure. I don't believe in this plastering thing here. So I will encourage people, and people should be doing this, by the way. You do not have to post every and anything on social media, right? You need some space for yourself. So you want to make sure whatever you're posting there, you want to make sure that it is decent stuff, right? Use appropriate languages and so forth, right? Not for the sake of likes and share, you're just going to do anything there, right? You have to be conscious of these things. People do all kind of things on social media, as you would know as well too. So those are the 5 things I wanted to share with you. So that way, when you go for your next interview, you can go in there with a little bit of a confidence, knowing that, you know what, you've cleaned up your social media pieces, you've done your research on the company, you're more aware of yourself when it comes to your strengths and weaknesses. You've kind of scanned through your resume quite a few times, so that way, you don't have as much error in there and so forth. So if you remember those few pieces, you're going to be fine in an interview, and you can really ace it and end up getting the job. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. My name is Narine Dat Sookram. Wishing you a great today and even a better tomorrow. I'll talk to you soon.